Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to our monthly webinar series. This is Srikant Ramabhadran, moderator, staff analyst here at First Tech. All participants upon entry have been muted, and I'm in touch with the speaker, Mike Duncan. Will soon open the presentation for him. And today, Mike Duncan, the CEO and founder of Bankjoy, will be talking on user interface in digital banking. As advances are made in artificial intelligence and natural language processing, practical applications are emerging that forever change how we interact with our personal finances and everyday work. In the webinar, you'll see real-world applications of voice user interface, voice UI, using amazing Alexa, Google Assistant, and other platforms. We will discover how voice UI enhances the capabilities of digital banking and witness the impact of voice UI on credit union data and reporting. Bankjoy is a Y Combinator-backed startup providing modern mobile and online banking to credit unions. Before founding Bankjoy, Mike led the software development at a large credit union in Michigan. He studied computer science at Kettering University. Before I turn over the presentation to Mike, which is about 25 seconds here, I would like to talk quickly about our upcoming Credit Union Analytics Summit. The registrations, early bird sessions are open, and credit union oriented, like an online community platform. That's what the CUlytics is all about. Data from across the country, can collaborate here. And let me share that particular screen also with you. Here is the snapshot I've taken from there, the particular 2018 Credit Union Analytics Summit, to be held March 13th and 14th next year. Soft comments. And all right, now also those of you who are interested should also join Analytics for Credit Unions, our LinkedIn group. Towards the end, we're going to have, after about 45 minutes, 15 minutes of Q&A. And so the questions you can send to me as a moderator, I will compile them. As well, at that time, some of you can ask a question live also. So the recording of this webinar and the PowerPoint will be available on the CUlytics, the website we maintain. And so without any further delay, let me hand over the presentation rights to Mike. One moment, let me do that. So, Mike, you are officially the presenter now.
Okay. Can you see my screen okay?
Have you gone into the top? There's a share, and you do my screen. Yeah, now we are there. There you go. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Great. Thank you so much. I appreciate the introduction. Thank you guys so much for taking time to be with me, and I'm here virtually with you guys to talk about voice UI and have a discussion about that today. You have experience or used the voice UI and you've been disappointed by experience. You're probably asking why. Why is this a topic? Are folks getting excited about this idea of voice UI now? We're seeing this a lot of different places now. All the major tech companies, including Amazon, Google, Microsoft, investing a lot into building really great voice UI experiences and build even dedicated devices like the Echo here for the purpose of driving voice UI adoption. And so why is this such a hot topic, and why is this going to transform thinking and in other areas as well? if you use Siri as an example, you may argue that voice UI is really not ready for prime time. Siri, as an example, it can be quite frustrating, and so we tend to limit our use of it, right? We lose trust in it. And the major reason voice UI today has been somewhat problematic in recent times is because the artificial intelligence behind these technologies is still truly in its infant stages, right? How voice UI we can imagine and have seen, in movies or Star Trek or science fiction, very possible today if we can change our approach to developing voice UI applications. And so we have to narrow the scope, what we can ask about or what we can talk about, and that's the key to creating compelling voice UI experiences. I'm going to talk more about that. I focus on specific subject matter and voice UI with the stage that artificial intelligence is at right now, in order to make some really great applications that are useful. And if you're focusing on members, we want to create experiences that aren't frustrating, that are helpful, and we'll talk about that. Siri, for instance. So Siri, when you engage Siri, you have this mindset that you should be able to ask Siri about anything. And then, but again, with the current AI, you really need to ask Siri questions in a very specific way. Anyone who uses Siri knows this, and the answers you finally get usually pretty underwhelming, right? Siri will often bring up Google search results to answer questions, and that's really not what we're looking for from a voice UI. And so if we limit the scope to, for instance, financial services and banking, as an example, then we can make our voice UI applications very smart within that vertical, and you can go deep into that vertical and provide a lot of interesting value to our customers and our members, right? Let me show you a demo of what it can look like when you're focused on social services in particular. What we accomplished if your focus is narrow instead of broad. This is an Alexa skill that we built. That we are, for this demo, to show you guys what's possible. So let me start it. Alexa, ask.
Hello, your financial institution at your service. How can I help you?
How much do you spend?
You have 3 more bills to pay, totaling $118.49. As of now, you safely spent $312.
Do I make?
You earned $1,700 in the last 3 months. Your average earning during the past year is $3,100 per month.
How much a year?
$1,200 last year. Your average income during the past 2 years is $2,910 per month.
Pay my bill.
I'd like to send to Comcast.
$1.
Would you like Comcast $1 now?
Yes.
Bill has been paid.
I think card.
For that, would you need to block your debit card?
No.
Your financial institution at your service. How can I help you?
To San Jose, California.
Say you know you're traveling to San Jose, California. Would you like me to add a travel notification to your debit card?
Yes.
Okay. When will you be in San Jose, California?
I'm traveling August 15th.
God turning.
I'm returning September 1st.
You will be traveling to San Jose, California from August 15th, 2017 to September 1st, 2017?
Yes, ma'am.
I've added a travel notification to your debit card for you. in Jose, California.
What are new cars?
Cars are 1.79% up to 48 months and 1.89% up to 66 months.
Exit. Just a brief example of what's possible when you kind of focus on a specific subject matter and you go deep into that subject matter. And when you do that, you can also really kind of fine tune how people talk to and engage with your voice UI in a way that they don't have to think about, what is the dictionary of commands that I need to use to talk to this thing. I can just use natural language, and we can open up the possibilities for what you can say, and it will understand that. So I'm not looking up, what commands can I say? I just say what comes naturally. Those are the kinds of voice UI experiences that are encouraging. They help us trust these voice UI experiences better, and we have to spend a little bit more time focusing on that narrow subject matter to get this right. But for the end, if it's an Alexa skill for your credit union, for instance, it's going to make a big difference in how that's adopted and the possibilities to create, a more personalized level of service and help people with their finances. They're going to use that more because they trust it. Hopefully, you realize too that one of the first questions I asked was, how much can I spend? Which is a much different question than how much money do I have, right? Because when I say how much can I spend, really exhibits one of the unique characteristics of voice UI over other kinds of user interfaces. With mobile banking and online banking, I log in and I can see my balances and I can see my transactions. I can search. I can pay my bills, and of course I can do all those things with voice UI in some degree. But if I have a very sophisticated question that needs a sophisticated answer, there requires more than one piece of information to answer, such as how much can I spend, to go out and look at your balance, and then also look at your bill payments and look at your loans, and say, here's what I think you can spend right now, and give you some meaningful information back. So with one simple question, how much can I spend, getting back a meaningful answer to that within seconds, extremely powerful. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. I'm sure the folks in this audience can think of other examples where this can be extremely powerful. Imagine picking up the phone and talking to your financial advisor. That kind of experience that we can create if we think about refocusing on a narrow subject matter. But in voice UI, and start thinking about applications and what the possibilities are today, and creating applications that people are really going to use. We have to understand, what's the state of the art right now. What are people using? What are the limitations? What are the fits, pros and cons of each of these platforms? And if you really want to be serious about voice UI, it may be beneficial to try to be in most of these places, so your members have a choice. So let's talk about Siri. Siri was really kind of the first on the block. Apple was a first mover on this technology among the tech giants, and one great thing about Siri is really where Siri lives. If you like Apple, then Siri is going to be everywhere for you. If you have a MacBook, she is in Mac OS. If you have an watch, it's going to be there. It's going to be on your phone. It's going to be on your TV. It's going to be in your car if you have CarPlay. So it's really everywhere you go, and you can always access Siri. Siri was introduced back in October of 2011, built by Apple. There was a startup that built the technology years ago, and Apple bought this technology, bought this company, and so Siri is really based on technology that is really not the most recent right now. Apple was really the first to market, and they had that first mover advantage, but the technology was really kind of in its infant stages. And so, when folks started to use that technology, they became skeptical of voice UI, and probably more skeptical than excited for the technology. And so a few advances with Siri. Siri, continues to get better. One of the advancements that we've seen by Apple has been the introduction of Siri Kit, recently deployed to developers so they can start to augment the Siri experience and tie their applications to Siri. And so it's something that developers were waiting a long time to be able to access, and really wanted to leverage Siri to do some cool things with their apps. And so when this came on the scene, developers were excited. I remember waiting for the keynote when we knew that they were going to talk about SiriKit, and I think there was a little bit of disappointment about SiriKit itself. There's still a lot of potential, a lot of promise, but the pointing aspect of SiriKit is that what you see on the screen right now is really where the limitations are. And so instead of opening up a full development platform like Amazon has or like Google has, and we'll talk about those in a moment, SiriKit really kind of opened up a few very narrow things that apps can connect to. So if you have an app, for instance, that does ride booking, ride sharing, like Uber, or Lyft, if you want to create your own Uber competitor app, you can hook into Siri's ride booking intent. For example, if you say, get me a ride to San Francisco, SFO Airport or whatever, that can trigger your app to help with that task. And it's in messaging. They have a messaging API, so I can say send a text to whomever via my special text app, photo search. The relevant thing that's really powerful for us in this industry is probably payments. So payments, you can say things like send $100 to John for this night using First Tech mobile banking possibility with Siri, and you do that for bill payments. You do that for sending money to friends and family, and so that's a really unique thing that you can do with Siri. Calling, workouts, climate and radio, they're really focused on some key areas to open up with first. We are still waiting for some additional ways to work with Siri, but that's today. Google Assistant. So Google Assistant, it made its big debut as part of Google Home. It was then exclusively available on Google's own Android platform. Their own phone, the Pixel, a while, and then they unleashed it and made it available on Android. So really stepping up their game, trying to be really competitive with their market position with their Google Assistant, and making sure that it gets everywhere that Android is, to keep up with Amazon and Apple on that. So if you guys have used it, I'm sure you'd agree this is a little bit of a better experience than Siri. And the development environment, the development platform, if you're a software developer, you want to create your own programs that work with Google Assistant, do that. These programs are called actions. Actions use something called intents. And now I'm using the language of Voice UI, but an intent is basically understanding what you want. What do you want Voice UI to do? And many different words that can string together to act that intent. And this is really reflective of where the state of the art of Voice UI is. So if you're a software developer, you're creating programs that are this idea of intents, and making different configurations of words, such as set my alarm clock or wake me up at X time, and mapping these to specific intents within your program that will trigger other things, other services to actually accomplish what you want. And so that's the state of the art. That's the latest and greatest of what these Voice UI platforms that are really dominant in the space right now. Google Assistant has done a good job with that. And Cortana, this is Microsoft's intro of Voice UI. If you guys can recall, if there are any gamers on the line, Cortana was a character in the Halo game. They brought her and made her a character for this new Voice UI, and so this by Microsoft on the Windows 10 platform in January 2015, rather recent, obviously. And the cool thing about Cortana is if you've already built, say, an Amazon Alexa skill, Microsoft was really smart about how they were going to attract and bring developers to its platform. So they opened it up to allow Amazon Alexa skills to import their skills into Cortana and make that a very seamless transition. And so that said, Cortana use that state-of-the-art of UI development pattern where everything is based on this idea of intents, and they've made it very simple for developers to get up and running. If you built an Alexa skill, just import that in, or use their tools or development tools to build a new Cortana voice UI program. Celebrity Alexa. Alexa is currently my personal favorite. It really truly presents sort of the latest and greatest in speech to text technology I've seen. Google Assistant is also really great. Alexa's it's incredibly quick to convert what you're saying into text, engage with the appropriate Alexa skill, and also get you an answer to what you're looking for in no time. Hopefully you saw that in our demo. It's very, very quick. You're not waiting for a long time. And Amazon, the great thing what I love about Amazon too is they've introduced these SDKs, and they've made this really friendly developer ecosystem that developers can adopt to bring Alexa into other apps and other devices. And they've been very encouraging of that and providing lots of documentation, lots of software development kits for various platforms. And if you want to embed Alexa into your app, you can do that. Or if you want to embed Alexa into your own voice-enabled speaker that you're going to market and retail, you can do that as well. And we've seen that at the Consumer Electronics Show this year at the conference. Amazon was actually one of the major highlights of the show. And I don't believe they were even there. They had lots of different exhibitors who had products like that were on display that were using the Amazon Alexa within their products. And so even though Amazon wasn't making a presence there, there were lots of folks who were adopting their technologies. And now we know too that Amazon and Microsoft, they're working with automakers as well to bring their technologies into cars. We know that Apple's already there with CarPlay, and so that's a natural device, so to climb into and begin to ask questions so you can stay focused on driving and simply use voice UI to do anything you need to do while you're driving. One of the ways this works for unions and banks is that really kind of need some more access to data. And so, this has been our approach, is to basically use an API, application programming interface. This makes it easier for developers to access credit unions, products, and services. API that is tightly integrated with your core system and third-party systems makes it easier for modern-day developers to build very creative voice UI experiences because they can pull data from multiple sources and use this in banking systems as needed without having to understand all of the complexities of all the different systems that are at that technology stack, so to speak. To Alexa, how much money can I spend? Again, that needs to look at both the core system, needs to look at billing, maybe has to look at an external loan system to know and put all the pieces together to answer that question. So, really need to look at, how do we manage our technology stacks as well to facilitate innovative technology like this. So, as you're thinking about bringing voice UI into your credit union or bank, that's definitely something to consider. Is what kind of technology stack am I building this on? Is it scalable? Is it simple? Is it modern? We'll develop understanding it easily so we can be innovative. I do guys an example, a quick example that we put together as well for voice UI would be, a really beautiful way to understand your data better simply by asking. If you could imagine being in a boardroom, for instance, and you have a question about, how many would be opened up at a certain branch in November, you simply ask the question using natural language and get the answers to that. And that's really kind of the dream. That's where Voice UI can take us right now. Give an example of what that can look like. Alexa, credit union reports.
How can I help you?
We opened at Big Branch last November.
Opened at Big Branch in November 2016.
We opened last November.
November 2016.
Average renewal loan balance.
Balance was $26,929.50 in November 2016.
On average, how many loans did we open per member last November?
Opened by member was about 1.22 in November 2016.
Exit. That was a quick reporting example that we put together based on this very, very simple report. But just kind of the possibilities of what can be done with reporting. Now, this can also be coupled with visualizations now as well. So, with your Alexa skill or Voice UI program that you're writing for any of these platforms, whether it's Alexa or Microsoft or Google, you can tie these to other kinds of web services that might be generating reports and graphs and information for you on the fly as you're asking about these things. And so imagine again that boardroom situation where you've got your Alexa device there or Google Home device there, you got your big LCD on the wall, and you're asking these questions. You could have that be rendering visualizations for the kinds of output that our Voice UI is talking about. So obviously this is a lot, if built correctly, obviously a lot faster than writing, a rep gen or kind of a report, maybe a SQL query, for instance, simply by asking the question. Anybody knows how to ask a question, get this kind of data, and you can build the Voice UI to do that now. So that's a quick example of what's possible with reporting. Where you guys can think of some really great examples of things that you could or would want to see in terms of UI and reporting. Just wanted to give you a taste of what's possible. Now, if you guys, this is relatively a new thing, UI. If you guys have questions, I love to, beyond this webinar, if you guys have questions, I love to take your questions. You can email me, you can call me. Feel free. Happy to get you started. These tools are very intuitive nowadays, and it doesn't take you long at all to get you up and running with them.
So, Mike, I muted the line. If you have questions, we can ask now.
So, Mike, this is Naveen. Let me ask the first question, that how do you manage the security, especially when doing the personal banking? Because, how do you really put in the password? How do you make sure that only the authorized people are able to get the information?
Yeah, that's a good question. Definitely different approaches to that, and that's definitely something that all the technology companies are kind of working on right now. We know for a fact that Amazon is working on a unique voice identification upgrade. So you will be able to use your voice and the patterns of your voice and the way you talk as a way to authenticate. Which sounds amazing. I can't wait to see it in practice. And so people won't be able to find ways to break that. But that is something that Amazon is effectively working on right now. And also, one thing that some banks have done, like Capital One, I believe, has done this. This idea of a code, a secure code. So, if you are asking these questions, you just make sure you're the only one in the room, and then you can say the secure code and ask you. Obviously, you can also probably pair this with with an app if you wanted to. You can get really sophisticated. The only problem with that is you know, the more sophisticated you make the authentication, the more friction you add to something that's really designed to be a very frictionless process. You want it to be like talking to a human being, and you don't want to pick up a phone to do that if you can avoid it.
Hey,
Do
Mr. Kabir, how
you
are you
think it
doing?
is ready for prime time?
I'm okay, thank you.
Can you say that one more time?
Yeah, I was wondering, like, given this information that you just provided, do you think that voice banking is ready for prime time?
Yeah, I definitely think it's ready for prime time. I think that, you know, I mean, if you look at, you know, Capital One and MX have really their Alexa skills in the marketplace already. They're being used and adopted. It's definitely ready. And the platforms are there. The platforms are maturing and they're being adopted by a lot of really big companies now who are investing into these channels. You know, and then people are definitely buying the Echo. The Echo has had massive growth since its launch. I can't speak for the other platforms. Most research has been around the Echo so far.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
How are you?
I'm wondering, when you said boardroom voice integration, we are developing all our reports and charting are using Power BI of Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think we can use Cortana or Amazon Alexa as a boardroom voice UI to integrate with the screen? Because Power BI has Q&A skills. You can type in the password. Do you know of, or do you think we can integrate that with the, you know, the screen and the boardroom?
I'm not sure about the capabilities of that tool. If Power BI, I think I'm not sure the capabilities. If they have APIs or services that can be used by an external application, for sure. I'm not sure. I know some reporting tools have those external capabilities. Google Analytics, for instance, has ways to interact and work with that data. I'm not sure about Power BI though. I'm sorry.
Okay, Chad, it's really good.
Okay, yeah, definitely.
I have a question from Deborah Wright. And would the union have to have a dedicated programmer to develop this type of system, or is your company offering this service?
Well, there's a couple different ways to approach it. You know, if you have a developer, the great thing about developing voice UI is that, you know, most modern developers will understand how to build these. Once reading the documentation, it's pretty quick to get up and running. I personally built the examples that I showed you guys, and I built them. It probably took me altogether 3 days to build the two examples together, all together. So it's really simple for a developer. We do Bankjoy does provide an Alexa skill. So some of what I showed you today is what we provide on the marketplace as well. You know, but there's a couple different ways to tackle it.
Thank you. Another question, the smartphone has obviously become a life companion. This channels looks very promising. Now, what is the learning experience? Does it translate to chatbot also if I'm uncomfortable? The voice is not able to recognize how it works?
There are definitely great platforms for chatbots now. You know, and I really just focused on, you know, major companies are doing right now with voice UI, Microsoft, Amazon, and Google. And you know, but there are obviously really big companies that are focused on bringing chatbots to mainstream, including Facebook. You know, Facebook has their Messenger platform, and open that up to developers so you can create your own Messenger bots. And so if you create a chatbot, you know, for banking, that would probably be the platform to do it. Would be through the Messenger platform because it's so accessible. Some people have Facebook, and some people use Messenger.
Okay, thank you. So, participants, feel free to ask a question now. Open.
questions, guys. If you have any more, please feel free. And,
There's one more question.
Oh, great.
Yeah, you can always, Deborah, call directly also now, but that's fine, I'll read out. Would there be a way to document these? Okay. Definitely, I'm going to, Deborah, share with you the, sure, and definitely we'll do that. And we've already taken question from Kabir Laiwala. Okay, his question, I think you answered. Can Cortana be attached to Power BI as it has the QA skills? Yeah.
And I think, Mike, a few more questions, like, are there any specific banks or credit unions who you think have really taken a lead in building their voice banking capabilities?
Who's going to take the lead, banks or credit unions? Is that what you asked?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm a firm believer in the credit union movement, and I think that because credit unions are smart, they have the ability to bring in technology that's open and innovative, and make changes to their technology stacks faster. I think the credit unions are a little bit like startups, and they're nimble. They can pivot. They can more agile, and they should be leaders in adopting and creating new technology. There's no reason why they can't. So I think with Voice UI, credit unions can definitely get there first, faster than if we're talking about larger institutions. There's no reason why credit unions can't beat them there with really sophisticated Voice UI technology.
Do you see that when using this voice capabilities, do you think, is it more, like, what is the lowest hanging fruit? Is it more focusing on the internal business user so that they are able to pull those votes, or do you think maybe it is more for the credit union members? What should we really focus on?
I personally think that initially the focus should be on the end users. I think, especially now, there's such aggressive competition among financial institutions nowadays, and the big banks and the credit unions and the community banks, everyone's competing for the same demographics and the same regions. And I think having the most modern consumer-facing technology is so important nowadays to be to differentiate yourself. So choosing your technology wisely, all the way from core systems across that entire stack, to support more innovation, so you can bring in a Voice UI more easily, so you can bring in modern mobile banking, online banking. I really think that you need to be able to start with the member experience, and think about the entire technology stack together to do that.
I think the key question again comes back to the security, that if security is not there for the prime time, because we are a bit concerned if you open it up for the members, right?
Yeah, it's definitely going to improve over time. There's definitely ways to make it a secure experience. We can use PIN codes now as a stopgap until better real voice authentication is introduced by these platforms. But for now, there are ways that this is being solved. Amex has solved that, Capital One has solved it, credits can solve it as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Naveen, thank you. And there is one more question which I didn't quite understand. Now I'm getting it right. The participant had asked this question: the conversations with Alexa to a historical record of the information exchange. Is that